Chosen one, you have been holding something that feels like the answer to a prayer you have carried for a long time. And it does feel like the answer. It looks right. It arrived when you needed it most. And somewhere underneath the excitement, you have this quiet knowing, small but persistent, that something is not fully settled. That knowing is not fear. That knowing is not weakness. That knowing is God. And He has been saying no to this specific thing, not because He is withholding what you deserve, but because He can see what your eyes cannot reach from where you stand. He can see where that path bends. He can see what waits behind the face of what looks like His favor. He can see the trap beneath the gift wrapping. What you are calling a blessing right now, He is calling something that must not reach you, not because you are not ready for blessing, but because the real one, the one He prepared specifically for you, requires that this one does not find you first. Today I want to show you what God sees. I want to give you language for His no, and I want to teach you to love the sound of it. Everything in this video is free. Every truth, every revelation, offered without condition. But if at any point something in your spirit tells you there is more you need for where you are, something specific and practical, you will find it in the description below and in the pinned comment. Only if you feel led. Only then. Before we go further, I want to ask you something. Stay with me through both parts of what I am about to share, because by the time we reach the end of this, you are going to have three things most chosen ones never receive at the same time. The first is the ability to tell the difference between a blessing that belongs to you and one that was designed to trap you. The second is a specific three-question practice you can use in the exact moment you need clarity. And the third is something the Father wants you to hear directly, a word He has been holding over this season of your life that I believe will change how you receive what has been happening. Do not leave before you receive all three. There is a navigation system so precise that it can detect a road collapse miles ahead of where you are driving. From your windshield, everything looks open. The lane is clear and wide, and nothing ahead gives any warning. But the navigation sees something your eyes cannot reach. It says, recalculate. Take a different route. Not this way. And in that moment, the instruction makes no sense, because from where you are sitting, the road looks perfectly fine. God operates with that same kind of sight over your life. When He says no, quietly at first, and then more firmly, and then in ways that are impossible to ignore, He is not being distant. He is not withholding out of cruelty or testing your faith by taking something good. He is standing in the position of someone who can see what your eyes were never meant to reach from where you are standing. He can see around corners you have not arrived at yet. And right now, there is something specific He is saying no to in your life. Let me describe what this often looks like. Something has arrived or is arriving that feels like the answer to a prayer you have been carrying for a long time. Maybe it is a relationship that came together in a way that seems almost too good to be coincidental. Maybe it is a financial opportunity that showed up at exactly the moment you needed provision. Maybe it is a door opening in your career, your calling, your family situation, something that checks boxes you have been holding for years. And the timing is right. The appearance is right. The words it speaks match the language of your own prayers. So you called it a blessing. You told people about it. You began building your next season around it, arriving fully. But underneath all of that, underneath the excitement and the telling and the planning, there is a stillness that keeps sending you a signal you keep choosing not to receive. That stillness is what I want to talk to you about. Because what you are calling your blessing can arrive in three forms. It can come disguised as a relationship, someone who appears speaking your language and understanding your pain and feeling like the exact connection you have been asking for. It can arrive as an opportunity, something that looks like financial provision or the opening you have been praying toward. Or it can arrive as a circumstance, something reshaping your life in a direction you thought you wanted. And in all three forms, it wears the face of answered prayer. That is what makes it so difficult to see clearly. For those of you who recognize what I am describing right now, stay with me. What comes next is going to name something you have been sensing but could not put words to. Let me show you 5 signs that tell a chosen one they are standing in the presence of something that only looks like a blessing. The first one is the flash of knowing that something is wrong before anything has gone wrong. It is that split second right before the excitement takes over, where something inside you knows, not thinks, not suspects, knows. And then the reasoning arrives and explains it away, and the momentum builds, and you keep moving forward. But that flash was there, and it was honest. This is not anxiety. This is not your history of disappointment, making you afraid of good things. This is your spirit receiving a signal your mind has not yet processed, and for one brief and unguarded moment, it told you the truth. The second sign is the weight. When you are around this thing, or when you think about moving forward with it, you feel heavier than you should. You should feel the lightness that comes with receiving what you asked for. But instead, something settles in your chest that does not lift, and you cannot explain it to anyone without sounding ungrateful. This is not ingratitude. This is not you trying to self-sabotage something good. This is your spirit registering a frequency mismatch, the same way a body reacts to something that looks like food, but is not actually nourishing. The third sign is the undercurrent. You are celebrating on the surface, and the joy is real, but there is something running beneath it, like a current underneath still water that keeps surfacing, a quiet unease. A question you keep choosing not to ask out loud. A moment at 3 in the morning when something tries to speak and you pull the covers tighter. This is not the enemy stealing your joy. This is not spiritual dryness or a lack of faith in what God can do. This is the still, small voice that does not compete with noise, that does not get louder when you ignore it, that simply continues quietly and patiently until you are ready to receive it. The fourth sign is the architecture. The small doors that should naturally swing open to support this blessing keep not opening. You expected things to fall into place around it, the way a true God-given thing tends to make a way for itself. But the secondary confirmations are not cooperating. While this one main door stands wide and obvious, the windows around it seem sealed. The natural path of confirmation is missing. This is not bad timing. This is not spiritual warfare blocking something God already approved. This is the design of a counterfeit, built so that the main thing appears so obvious you stop noticing how nothing else is confirming it. And the fifth sign is what visits you in the night. The dreams you wake from, that you cannot fully remember, but cannot fully shake. Your waking mind is very good at managing what you let yourself think about. But when you are asleep, something is still processing. Something is still trying to reach you through the quiet. This is not your subconscious manufacturing doubt. This is not fear dressed as a dream. This is a father who will use every available channel to get through to the child he loves. You may have just recognized something, one of these signs, or more than one. Let that recognition settle for a moment. Do not move past it too quickly. I want to pause here, not to add another layer, not to build toward the next point, just to sit in what is already on the table. You have been carrying something, and you named it with your own hope. You attached your plans and your prayers, and maybe even your identity for this next season to it. And right now, something I am saying is beginning to touch something you were not entirely ready to touch. That is okay. It is supposed to feel like this. You did not come here by accident. What I want to share next is going to take you somewhere specific, into a pattern that has repeated itself across history, across the lives of those who walked this road before you. And what you find there is going to reframe everything you have been calling confusion. Take a breath. And when you are ready, let us continue. Before Joseph became the second most powerful man in Egypt, his brothers threw him into a pit and then sold him. And from everything Joseph could see and feel in that moment, the story was over. The dream his father had celebrated The favor that had rested over his life, all of it, appeared to have collapsed. The merchants paid a price for him. The transaction was complete. Someone who had been marked for greatness was now property, and God did not stop it. But here is what the story reveals, that the moment could not. The pit was not what happened to Joseph before the blessing. The pit was the blessing, moving through the form of disaster. There was no version of the palace that did not run through that specific darkness first. God did not send Joseph to Egypt despite the pit. He sent him through it. And the man who came out on the other side was exactly the man the assignment required. This pattern is ancient, and it is precise, and it is happening in your life right now. There is a word in the ancient Hebrew language, the language of the oldest wisdom texts, that describes exactly what God sees when he looks at what you have been holding. The word is pak. It appears in Psalm 91, in the verse that says he will save you from the fowler's snare. That snare, that trap, that hidden mechanism designed to look like open ground but contains the device that catches, that is the pak. The patch does not announce itself. It does not arrive with a label. It looks like a path. It looks like an answer. It is designed to appear exactly like what you have been walking toward. God sees the pack ahead. You cannot, from where you stand. And so he says, no. Solomon understood this more deeply than almost anyone who came after him. In the moment when God appeared to him and offered him anything he desired, Solomon did not ask for wealth. He did not ask for long life or the defeat of his enemies. He asked for a lev shomea, a hearing heart, a discerning heart. The literal translation is, a heart that listens beneath the surface of things, a heart that can tell the difference between what is and what only appears to be. Solomon asked for the ability to distinguish the real blessing from the patch, and God said that because Solomon asked for this above everything else would be added. A lev shomea. That is what today is about. That is what God is building in you right now. Now let me tell you 3 things that God's no is actually doing, because this matters for how you receive what comes next. The first is this. God does not evaluate the door in front of you. He evaluates the trajectory of the decision. He sees where that path leads, not in this week or this season, but 3 years from now, 7 years from now, in the version of your life where you walked through that door and then followed the corridor all the way to its end. What looks like perfect timing from where you are standing can look very different when you can see what the timing is actually leading to. God's no is not a judgment of this moment. It is a response to the destination. The second is this. His no is calibrated specifically to your calling, not your general happiness, not your comfort in the ordinary sense. The thing he is protecting when he says no is the specific assignment he placed over your life before you were born. The counterfeit blessing is not just harmful in a general way, it is positioned to intercept exactly what you were placed here to do. God's no is that precise. He is not protecting your preferences. He is protecting your purpose. And the third, and this one matters most. What he is holding back is making room. The real blessing, the one that carries his name on it, the one prepared specifically for you and specifically for this season, cannot arrive while you are occupied with the counterfeit. His no is not the absence of provision. It is the clearing of the space where the real thing will land. Now, before we move into part 2, there is something I want to share with you that connects directly to what we have been unpacking throughout this message. It is called the Genius Song. And the reason it matters here is something I will explain fully in just a moment. It works at the level of the frequency that allows the hearing heart, the lev shomea, to function the way it was designed to. There is more detail waiting for you in the description below and in the pinned comment. Only if you feel drawn to look. In part 2, I am going to take you into the full revelation of what God can see that you cannot. I am going to give you 3 specific questions that can help you tell the difference between a blessing and a pash in the exact moment you need clarity. And There is a word I believe the Father wants you to hear before we are done, something He has been holding over this season of your life. Stay with me for that. In part 1, I walked you through the anatomy of a counterfeit blessing and 5 signs that tell a chosen one they are holding something God has been saying no to. I showed you the ancient word for trap, patch, and I walked you through 3 reasons His no is never empty. Now I want to take you into the full revelation, the thing that reframes everything. Let me show you what God actually sees. From where you are standing, this thing you have been holding looks like provision, like timing, like the answer that finally arrived after all the asking. But from where God stands, from the position of someone who can see not just the door but everything the door opens into, this is not the blessing. This is the mechanism designed to intercept your breakthrough at the exact moment it is beginning. He has been saying no because He can see the path beneath the face of what you are holding. And I hear the Father saying something over you right now. These are the words being placed on my heart for you in this moment. My child, I did not say no to punish you. I said no because I can see the patch beneath what you are holding. I see where that path leads. I see what is waiting on the other side of that door. And I love you too much. I love the assignment I placed over your life too much to let it close around you. The no you have been receiving is not rejection. It is the sound of my hand holding the door shut on your behalf. Now let me show you the full contrast, because what God sees on His side of this changes everything about how you interpret what has been happening. What felt like a door slamming shut was actually a wall being built behind you to protect what is still ahead. What felt like God withdrawing was actually God positioning Himself between you and the mechanism designed to catch you. What felt like silence was actually the sound of your Father holding His breath so the wrong thing would not hear your name. And what felt like rejection, the most painful part of all of this, was a redirection so precise it had to feel like loss first before it could feel like grace. His no was not absence. His no was architecture. Now, I want to show you 3 specific dimensions of what God sees that your eyes cannot access from where you are standing. Because understanding these 3 things changes how you receive His no, not just for this situation, but for every one that comes after. The first dimension is trajectory. God does not see the door. He sees the entire corridor the door opens into. You can see the threshold. He can follow the hallway to its end, around every bend it takes, to every room it opens into over the years that follow. What looks like a perfectly timed answer from your position can look completely different when you follow it all the way to where it lands. His no is not a judgment of the moment you are in. It is a response to where the moment leads. The second dimension is calling specific sight. His no is not a blanket no to good things or to your season of receiving. It is calibrated precisely to what He placed inside you before you were born. The counterfeit blessing does not just threaten your general happiness. It threatens the specific assignment, the particular thing, the exact calling you were sent here to carry. God's no is that precise. He is not protecting your comfort. He is protecting your purpose. And the third dimension is reservation. The counterfeit exists because there is something real to counterfeit. You do not construct an imitation of something that does not exist. The fact that something arrived wearing the face of your prayer so precisely, positioned at exactly this moment, tells you something important. It tells you the real thing is close enough that the enemy considered it worth the effort to intercept. God is not withholding your blessing. He is reserving it, holding the space, making certain what arrives carries His name. Think of it this way. Your navigation has been recalculating, not away from your destination but toward it. The collapse ahead is not your future. The protected route is. The Father who said recalculate is the same Father who knows every road, every bridge, every bend between where you are and where He is taking you. And He has known the difference the entire time you were frustrated with the detour. Now let me be honest with you about the hardest part of everything I have just said. Knowing this is one thing. Living it is another. Because you prayed for this. You fasted over it. You told people. You built your next season around it arriving. You gave it a name in your heart. Maybe the name of the version of your life that finally worked out the way it was supposed to. And now, I am standing here telling you God has been saying no, and I am asking you to receive that. I want you to know something before I ask you to take the next step. Releasing this is not going to feel like faith. Not at first. It is going to feel like loss. It is going to feel like you are the one choosing to set down your own answer to prayer. And that feeling is allowed. You do not need to pretend it does not hurt. And then there is this layer that no one talks about enough. The people around you are celebrating this thing with you. They saw the blessing. They cannot see the patch. And when God leads you to release something everyone around you believed was your answer, that requires a quiet kind of courage that comes from somewhere no one else can see. From the part of you that trusts what it heard when no one else was in the room. You do not need their understanding to make the right move. I want to say something to you directly now, not as pressure, as permission. You are allowed to release what God has said no to. You are allowed to grieve what you thought was coming, the version of your life you had already started to picture. You are allowed to trust His sight over your own longing, even when His sight is invisible to you from where you stand. You are allowed to stop explaining your decision to those who celebrated with you. You are allowed to say, "I trust you, Father," before it feels like relief. You are allowed to believe that what He held back is proof that He is already holding something better. And you are allowed to let the counterfeit go without needing to understand everything He sees. What God told you in your quiet is not a debt you owe anyone an explanation for. Now I want to give you something practical, because release is only half of this. The other half is building the discernment that protects you the next time a counterfeit arrives, wearing the face of your prayer. And that is something that can be developed. The Lev Shomea is not a fixed gift that you either have or you do not. It is a practice. And here is how it begins. There are 3 questions. These 3 questions, when you ask them honestly in the moment you need clarity, can help you hear what your excitement sometimes makes it hard to hear. The first question is this: does this bring peace, or does it bring excitement without peace? These are not the same thing, and the difference matters more than most people know. Peace is settled. It is quiet, even inside uncertainty. It does not require momentum or urgency to sustain itself. Excitement without peace is different. It is fast and high, and it creates a feeling that you must move now, before the moment passes. Peace says I can wait for confirmation. Excitement without peace says I cannot afford to wait. Learn to notice which one is speaking when you sit still enough to hear. The second question is this: does this align with who God is calling me to become, or does it ask me to be a smaller version of myself to receive it? The real blessing does not require you to shrink. It does not ask you to compromise what you know, or set aside what He built in you, or become slightly less discerning, or slightly less honest to accept it. A counterfeit often needs you to be a little less of yourself to fit inside it. Notice whether what you are holding is enlarging you, or quietly asking you to fit inside a shape that was not made for you. The third question is this: am I gripping this, or am I resting in receiving it? There is a specific tension in the hands of a chosen one who is holding something that does not fully belong to them. It requires effort. It needs managing. You keep returning to it, keep reasoning through it, keep reassuring yourself that it is right. What belongs to you, you do not hold with that kind of effort. What belongs to you, you rest in. Notice whether you are resting or whether you are working to convince yourself. I want to invite you to do something right now. You do not need to move. You do not need to stand up or reach for anything. In whatever position you are in right now, just bring the specific thing we have been talking about to the surface of your mind, the one you have been holding. And then, without involving your reasoning or your excitement or the version of you that already made plans around this, ask your spirit one question: is there peace here? Not the absence of concern, not the absence of uncertainty. Peace, that deep, quiet, settled knowing. Whatever answers you right now, trust that. Do not argue with it. Do not explain it away. Just receive it. And one more thing before we move forward. The counterfeit blessing depends on noise. It depends on momentum and excitement, and the constant motion of planning and telling and moving. Because in the quiet, in a few minutes with no input and no forward motion, the still small voice has room to be heard. It does not need to compete with anything. It just needs space. A few minutes of genuine quiet each day, where the only question is a simple one, and you actually wait for the honest answer. That is where the Lev Shomea develops. That is how the hearing heart grows. Let me tell you about someone who practiced exactly this. There was a woman, a provider for her family, someone of deep faith who had been carrying her household through a difficult stretch of years. A business partnership arrived that seemed to have everything she had been praying for. The timing was right. The potential was real. Her community celebrated alongside her. On every surface level, this appeared to be the breakthrough. But she had been practicing the questions, and at the first one, does this bring peace? The peace did not answer. The excitement was present, but the settled quiet was not, and she chose to trust what was absent over what was present. She walked away. Her community did not understand. She spent 3 months in a kind of uncertainty that was neither comfortable nor easy to explain to the people who had been celebrating with her. 4 months later, the partner she had almost entered into agreement with was exposed for financial misconduct that had been running beneath the surface for years. The people who moved forward suffered real losses. She did not because she had seen the pach. She had not seen it, but because she had learned to trust the voice that could. She could not see the trap, but she had learned to follow the no. Now, before I share what I want to bring to you next, there is something the research reveals that I have not yet told you. Something about what actually happens at the neurological level inside a chosen one in the exact moment they need to tell the difference between a blessing and a trap. Because this piece, what I am about to walk you through now, is what makes the practice we just discussed make sense at a level deeper than theology. Stay with me just a moment more. Let me give you a clear summary of where we have arrived before I bring this next part. Here is the why. Not every blessing that arrives wearing the face of answered prayer was sent by God. The counterfeit is designed specifically to intercept the chosen one at the exact moment a breakthrough is beginning, positioned to look precisely like what has been prayed for. God's no is not rejection or delay or punishment. It is calibrated protection from someone who can see what your eyes were never meant to reach. Here is the what. Discernment is not a fixed gift that you either carry or you do not. It is a practice. The Lev Shomea, the hearing heart, is developed through the quiet, through the 3 questions, through the willingness to trust what you sense over what you see. This can be built. This can be sharpened. This is available to you. And here is the who. If you have been sensing that something is off about what you have been holding as your blessing, that sensing is God. You are not imagining it. You are not being fearful or faithless or ungrateful. You are hearing what He is saying. The quiet knowing that keeps surfacing beneath the excitement is not your enemy. It is your Father. Now I want to talk to you about something that connects directly to everything we have been unpacking today. And I want to start by saying something about who you are, because it matters for what I am about to share. You have always carried something that others around you did not carry in quite the same way. A sensitivity to things beneath the surface. A knowing that arrives before the logic does. A way of perceiving what is happening in a room, in a relationship, in a decision that goes beyond what can be explained. You likely felt this more clearly as a child, before the world built its weight and noise around you. That sensitivity has a name in neuroscience, and it has a name in the ancient texts. Solomon called it the Lev Shomea. Researchers who have spent decades mapping the brain in its highest states of function call it the gamma state. And the connection between those two names is not a coincidence. Research documented across institutions, including Princeton and Harvard over multiple decades, confirmed that gamma brainwave activity corresponds to what scientists describe as heightened intuitive accuracy, elevated pattern recognition, and the capacity to sense what has not yet fully surfaced. What chosen ones experience as discernment, God-given and spiritually rooted, has a corresponding signature in the brain. It is real. It is measurable. And the research into it goes back further than most people know. Here is what that same research also reveals. This frequency was fully active in you as a child. Children operate at gamma almost continuously. They learn at a speed adults have long stopped being capable of. They sense things that adults have been trained out of noticing. But the patterns of modern life, the educational systems, the chronic stress and constant stimulation suppress this frequency over time. Dr. Robert Lake, a neuroscientist who spent 34 years studying exactly this phenomenon, named it the decline effect. The gamma frequency does not disappear. It goes quiet. And when gamma goes quiet, the lev shomea goes quiet with it. The hearing heart does not die. It gets buried beneath everything the world placed on top of it. This is what that means for everything we have been talking about. When gamma is suppressed, the signal God is sending gets harder to receive. The still, small voice is still speaking, but the receiver has lost sensitivity. The patch becomes harder to recognize, not because God has stopped warning, but because the frequency that allows you to receive the warning has been dimmed since childhood. I want to tell you about someone who found their way back to that frequency. A man who had spent most of his adult life describing himself as someone who could sense things but could never fully trust what he sensed, had been using a specific audio tool, 7 minutes each morning with headphones, for 3 weeks. What he described at the end of those 3 weeks was not dramatic. It was simple and precise. In the moment when a significant decision was in front of him, and he needed to know whether what he was feeling was peace or excitement without peace, for the first time in a very long time, he could feel the difference, clearly, without having to reason his way to an answer. He said it felt like static clearing, like the channel finally finding its signal again. The tool is called the Genius Song. It was developed by Dr. Robert Lake, and it works through a process called brain entrainment, using specific frequency patterns layered within an audio track to guide the brain back toward gamma. 7 minutes with headphones. No particular technique required. No meditation practice needed. The audio does what 34 years of research documented it is capable of doing. Let me speak practically about this for a moment, because I want you to be able to make a clear decision. Most people who want to work with their intuition or their sensitivity look at options that run from monthly mindfulness app subscriptions at around $15 to individual therapy sessions at around $150 each, to weekend spiritual retreats that can cost $400 to $800. These serve real purposes, but none of them are built around the specific mechanism of gamma reactivation that Dr. Lake has spent 34 years researching. None of them target the decline effect directly. Dr. Lake built the Genius Song with one purpose: to put this technology into the hands of people who need it, not only those who can access a clinical setting. The original price for the track is $49. For those coming to it through this video specifically, the price is $39, and that price exists nowhere else. It is delivered immediately to your email as a digital file. That $39 includes 4 additional resources at no extra cost. The first is a version of the track calibrated for children, because the decline effect reaches children too, and this offers a way to reach them before it settles in. The second is the foundational book that the film The Secret drew its core ideas from, a source that goes deeper and more practically than the film was ever able to go. The third is a 22-minute guided visualization across 4 areas of life: finances, relationships, health, and peace. A full walkthrough that pairs with the frequency work. And the fourth is a practical daily habit guide built around what people who have experienced lasting results with this tool consistently do to keep what was reactivated active. The combined value of those 4 editions is $80. They come with the Genius Song at no additional cost. And if after 90 days you feel it did not serve you, you receive every dollar back, every cent. But the 4 resources remain yours to keep, regardless of what you decide. That is not a standard guarantee. It is Dr. Lake's way of removing the risk from the act of trying. More than 18,000 people have worked with the Genius Song since its release. The return rate sits below 4%. Those 2 numbers together tell you something that any amount of marketing cannot. One important thing: this pricing and this specific package exist only through the link in the description and the pinned comment below. What you find if you search elsewhere will not carry these terms or this guarantee. Only through what I have shared here. If your spirit resonates with what I have described, if something in you recognizes the connection between the gamma state and the discernment we have spent this entire message building together, the link to the Genius Song is in the description and in the pinned comment below. Only if you feel led. Only if something in you confirms it. What you leave with today is not only a concept, it is a practice. And it is an identity. You are a chosen one who hears beneath the surface of things, not occasionally, not on good days. That is who you are. You are a discerner, and what passes others without notice does not pass you without registering. You are a spiritual warrior who holds ground in the moment when a counterfeit arrives with perfect timing and perfect language, and you are a cycle breaker. What was designed to trap those who came before you in your lineage will not close around you. What God is protecting in your life right now is more than your next season. There are things He has been reserving for you, what some have called your destiny's embrace, the full version of the life He wrote over you before you knew what to ask for, and that version is intact. Nothing the enemy positioned to intercept your breakthrough has reached it. Hold that. I hear the Father speaking one more thing over you now. These are the words being placed on my heart for you. My child, I did not say no to your blessing. I said no to what was wearing its face. The real one, the one I prepared for you before you knew what to ask for, the one that carries my name and my timing and the fullness of what I wrote over your life. It is still coming, and you are going to recognize it, not because you will finally see clearly enough on your own, but because now you have a hearing heart. Now you carry the Lev Shomea, and when what is truly yours arrives, your spirit will know. Not a flash it suppresses, a peace it rests in. That is my promise to you. Not delay, distinction. I want to speak 4 things over you before we close. You are a chosen one who hears beneath the surface. What is hidden from others is not hidden from you. You are a discerner. The deceptions that trap others will not trap you. Not because you are without weakness, but because you have chosen to develop the hearing heart. You are protected, not by walls around your life, but by a Father who stands between you and what was designed to catch you. And you are a cycle breaker. What was designed to trap your generation, what worked on those who came before you, will not close around you. You are the one who learns to recognize the patch before it reaches you. Now I want to invite you to do something, right where you are. You do not need to move. Do not go anywhere. Just in the position you are in right now, bring to the surface of your mind the specific thing we have been talking about, the thing you have been holding. And then, gently, without force, without grief, with the kind of quiet trust that comes from knowing something better is already in preparation. Open the hands inside, not your physical hands, the grip of your spirit. Let go of what God said no to. Picture it leaving. And in the space where it was, look at what is there. Because something is already there. It has been waiting for that space to open. Your route has been recalculated. The road that collapsed ahead, you will not drive into it. The destination God wrote over your life has not changed. And the Father who said no is the same Father already holding the yes that belongs to you. Go protected, go discerning, and go knowing. The no you heard was love. If something in this message touched something real in you today, if you are releasing something that God has been saying no to, leave 777 inches the comments below. Let this space be a witness to what you are choosing right now. And if this found you at the right moment, seal it with a response below. That small act tells me this kind of message matters, and it helps bring more of it to those who need it. If you found a place here where you feel seen and understood, stay connected. There are more words being prepared for your next season, and I do not want the right message to miss you when it arrives. Before we part, if someone came to mind while you were listening today, I want you to act on that. Someone who has been celebrating something that does not fully feel settled. Someone who has been fighting to hold on to what has not been confirmed in their spirit. Someone who has been receiving God's no and calling it the enemy instead of their Father. Someone who needs the language for what they have already been sensing but have not been able to name. Share this with them. Send it however you need to, because this might be the word that gives them permission to release what God has been protecting them from. And what you share today could be the most important thing that reaches them this week. For those who felt called to what I shared about the Genius song, the link is in the description and in the pinned comment below. Only if you feel led. Until we meet again, you are chosen, you are protected, and the real blessing is already on its way.